My name is Faith Imani, and this is the Breakfast Show on TSL Nigeria.
The National Drug Law Enforcement Agency says it's considering a new policy to make it mandatory for single ladies to get tested for drugs before getting married. Chairman of the agency, Mustafa Mohammed, also said that it might be necessary for premarital screenings to include drug tests because of the alarming and increasing rates of drug abuse by women and younger girls in the country. He further said that drug abuse has become a thing for women and no longer young folks in the country for male. Now, joined by my amazing host this morning, I'm going to ask him amazing questions concerning this stuff because as a woman, I mean, why? Personally, I feel, in fact, let me just calm down a bit and ask this Aisha. I don't know who asked you. Aisha, everybody. Good morning. How are you? This is Aisha. Yeah. To begin with you, what's your take on drug abuse generally?
Okay. I feel drug abuse is something that needs to be talked about because it's a major public health crisis. And the more we talk about it, the more awareness we create. And the more awareness we create, the more people get to know about it. And I feel there'll be the likelihood for it to be minimized to the barest minimum. And I feel that government has a lot to do about it. Because, well, they're trying, but they really have a lot to do about it because a lot of teenagers, imagine someone in primary school, people in primary school doing drugs. It's really, really crazy and it's really alarming. So I think they should focus on the teenagers. They need to create awareness. They need to organize seminars, campaigns. People need to hear about it. And they need to start from the grassroots because crayfish red on burn. You know, get as they want to straight on. You know, I think that on the t-shirt. What you said is really interesting. Yes. A few years ago, I think 2016, a colleague of mine at a place I was working was called to her younger daughter's school. It was in Border. Okay. And what happened was that they opened capsules of tramadol in water, mixed it, put in a syringe, and they were injecting themselves. He was about 14 years old. And he almost died. Oh God. And he almost died. So drug abuse is a major problem in this country. Even in 2019, there was a study that was carried out in Nigeria where some people were sent down, some filmmakers were sent down to Nigeria by United Nations to just check and see the amount of drug abuse in the country. And they found out that out of 200 million Nigerians, 14% of Nigerians between the ages of 14 and 64 were actively abusing drugs. And it was so interesting because the entire study was in the entirety of Africa, but Nigeria out of the entire West Africa, I beg your pardon, but Nigeria out of the entire West Africa had the biggest number of abuse. And the most popular South Africa were marijuana, cannabis, and tramadol. Tramadol is supposed to be an over-the-counter drug. You're supposed to have a prescription to access tramadol. Yes. But every single pharmacy that you can go, almost, let me not say every single, let me not group everybody. No. A good number of pharmacies where you go in there and you just say tramadol.
I think prescription should be demanded by most of these people who come to buy drugs. When you go to a pharmacy, sometimes you want to buy some very strong medication, and they do not even ask you for a prescription
at all.
That is a problem. That we should start from there, because if a 14-year-old can have access to those kind of drugs, you not break a bone. What are you using a syringe for? What are you using tramadol for? Personally, I can't even lie. I've never seen tramadol before. I only hear about it.
Even me, I don't know how it looks like.
And some people who actually abuse these drugs, when they finally are in need of these drugs, maybe if they're involved in an accident and they're going through severe pain, they use these drugs on them and they don't even work. Because they have abused the drugs so much that their system is just so used to it that if you need it for pain relief and stuff like that, it doesn't work for you.
Okay, but coming home to the Ndlea situation. Now, in some developed countries, to get a job, you have to do a drug test.
Yes.
And, I haven't lived in this country, but for the movies I have seen, I noticed that they just don't puppies for like 2 days, and then they go and do the test, and then they pass it. Test. Yes, and then they pass it, and then they go on and move on with their life. So, is a drug test before marriage truly the solution to drug abuse in Nigeria?
Wow, drug test before marriage. Personally, like you said, you can just stay sober for 3 days, 2 days, and you go to the
Your system is clear.
and your system is clear, and they certify you ready for marriage, and they say, congratulations, ma, you're drug free. Go ahead and marry the love of your life. I personally think the drug test thing is just a cover up. The major thing is what Mrs. Aisha talked about, going back to the grassroots.
Yes.
Because if you make these drugs, if you make children understand the hazards that comes with drug abuse, they will not grow up and want to take drugs. If you make these drugs unavailable to people, demand a prescription on the counter at a pharmacist, people would, you tell them if you don't have a prescription, I will discover these are the consequences. And I'm not sure anybody will want to go to prison for a pack of tramadol. It should be
not just the person, even the pharmacies where they get the drugs, where they should be sued. Yes.
License should be withdrawn.
Yes.
Stories like that, and people would be on their toes. So the drug testing as a prerequisite is fine, it's cool. But if I stay clean for 2 days and 3 days and I get tested, and after my wedding night, I start popping pills again, it's like a loss on the part of the government or the agency, and a loss on my part too.
Okay, Faith, you know, Mustafa Mohammed, the chairman of the agency, said for ladies. That's my stress.
Yes.
Okay, they said it's
for ladies.
According to their statistics, I do not know where they got it from. I feel drug abuse is not gender based. Men abuse drugs, women abuse drugs. But since they are so concerned about the ladies, a lot of people found it very offensive. They talked about it. But I think maybe if they are coming from a place of the women in Nigeria, I grew up here, born and bred in Nigeria. The women in Nigeria are basically in charge of the family. So an unstable woman is going to create like an unstable family, I think. But personally, the drug testing should be done on both.
So
it's not just for the ladies.
Having said that, right? Drug abuse for ladies, what could be the cause? Because the things are showing that okay, it's an increase for women and for young girls. What could be the cause? I'm wondering.
My just feeling is on the increase because
no, they said according to them. So they said that it's on the increase for young ladies and even older women. Even married women, they said.
So I say misogyny. Yes, because drug is abused by both genders.
Yes, exactly.
So why is it okay for the men to abuse the drugs? He said something that an unstable woman cannot carry the home. Can an unstable man carry the home?
We come from a society where if we have to be truthful, the women majorly take care of the home affairs. The children are being taken care of by the women. If a child is sick, the first person they will call is the mother. It's wrong, but that's the society we live in.
If I may come in here, we have a lot of working class mothers.
These are not things we are supposed to project in this kind of setting. But if we have to be honest with ourselves, personally, if I have an issue, the first person I will call is my mother.
Okay.
If my mother is a drug addict, it's a problem for me.
You see color. Let's okay. I saw something online and the girl said whenever somebody says let's call it spade, she just says spade. But seriously, let's call it spade. This conversation happened on Twitter a few days ago and it was very interesting. The parent tweet said, and I quote, "You go to the hospital with your father. The doctor asks your father, is he allergic to anything? Your father says no. They give you penicillin, you die. Because you are allergic to penicillin. And your father had no clue. And some people came to the defense of the father, saying that because the fathers are the major bearers of the financial burden in the home, they work so much and they don't have time. And then someone else said, single mothers do these full jobs and they're still full mothers. So clearly it's not the job. You're just not interested. So is it okay for us to say because it is reality, we should let these people get away with this? Can we not be more serious about these things? There's so many men that know nothing about their children. They know nothing about how the home is run. A guy shared a story and said that he actually went to the hospital with his dad and everything the dad said was wrong. His blood group was wrong, his genotype was wrong, and then the doctor asked, are you the father of this child? Really? It was that bad. So instead of us to continue increasing the mantle we place on women to carry the home, why can't we ask men to be more responsible? What is so wrong with that? I think society has modeled the thinking of every man to feel like, okay, my job is to go out there, provide for the family, and my wife will do the other stuff. That's not true. We don't have jobs per se, because women work. So they can do, a man can cook, can do school work, can take care of the kids. While growing up, my dad taught me, because I went to a boarding school, my dad taught me how to iron, do packet shirt, fold my uniform and take them to school, put them in my bag. Yes, that's it. My dad taught me how to cook jollof rice. Wow. When I was in school, visiting, when it comes from visiting a day, it's my dad that comes. My dad comes to school to see how far I'm doing, to see how I'm doing in school. And he was not unemployed. He was a mobile police. Oh, I can imagine. And he retired as ASP2. Now I know I have selection. So I was working. So I don't understand. He was really involved.
Have kids are responsible. I would say all of the men are irresponsible. But as crazy as this may sound, most of the burden is on the shoulders of the women. That we know already. Yeah. So I think women naturally, we should be well taken care of. I'm not saying the men should go out there and misbehave, but since the burden is more on the women, we should also understand that you are a mother. Yeah, I understand the aspects that are coming up from the injection and everything of a 14-year-old. And I saw how emotional you got. Yes. It's not very emotional. It's a woman feeling.
Well, let me look at it from this angle, because we carry the children, the babies in our wombs. And when we do drugs, sometimes it affects the baby. There are side effects. So I think we are looking at it from that angle. Let me look at it from that angle. Okay, so maybe let's come back. Let's narrow it down a bit, okay? If the Ndlea statistics are right, saying that, okay, the increase for drugs is more on women now, what could be the cause? What's pushing young ladies and married women and older women, like you said, into doing drugs and even drug trafficking? I think nothing is pushing women into doing drugs. I think young people are doing drugs. Yes. And, we have moved on from the time of our lives where we say, the woman is in the kitchen. Women are going to universities. Unis have a lot of girls as well. And girls are young people. If the boy is smoking, but she does not both. It's as easy as that. So it's not like the percentage of women doing drugs and the percentage of growing. That's more young people are doing drugs. Go to club. Young women. That's what I'm doing. So I'm saying the reason why the women are doing drugs is the reason why the men are doing drugs. Yes. Okay. The reason why people are doing drugs is the reason why people are doing drugs. If you ask me why, I don't know. I don't know why people do drugs, basically. Some people say it makes them feel some kind of way. I do not know why people do drugs. I only know the disadvantages of taking drugs. You look haggard. You will not have money. You want to sell everything you have. Just to get drugs. You start taking drugs now. But describing the drug addiction. Yes, how they look. Yeah. But you will be a shadow of yourself. You will be irresponsible. You will not take anything serious. If you're a student, you'd start, drawing back from your studies. If you have a job, you would not want to show up because you just feel like, what's there to live for? Like you said, maybe depression actually makes some people take drugs. But there are still some other drug addicts that don't even look like just for the fun of it. They just want to indulge. Sometimes I feel peer pressure can actually make people go into drugs, experimenting as a young girl, as a young boy, because I passed through those stages too. You can experiment, and from there you'll now be an addict. People influence people. Sure. So as parents, we need to enlighten our children. They need to trust us. We need to talk to them, because what they don't know, what we don't tell them, they learn it from their peers. And most of them are experimenting. They want to experiment. They want to do things. Yeah. Something that even gets on my nerves is the fact that most teenagers, now let's not even just talk about married women. Now they don't even go for the tramadol and the syringe again. They mix sweets with menthol in soft drinks, and that gets better. Yes. They mix any sweet that has mint in it. They mix it with soft drink and they get high. Do you understand? So I've seen cases like this
over and again.
Now my question is, what are they getting high for?
That's the thing.
Okay, so that's a new one.
And it's a fear for me because if it's no longer a thing that okay, you have to go to the pharmacy. Every young girl can just do it. Every young girl can do it, and just mix it and get high. So I think that basically for the marriage drug test, I personally don't feel it's necessary because, like we've said, you can get sober for that period of time and you go back and do your thing. What I feel is that it should be hammered on that drug abuse is wrong. People should get to understand. It's like saying, oh, I'm praying for my exam. No. We're going to do small explain. No, maybe nothing. You have to read. So just make people know that drug abuse is bad and see what they can do to you, rather than saying, okay, I'm going to test you for like 3 days. I mean, I can just be clean for 1 week and go back again. And if at all is going to hold that churches and mosques are going to consider it should be done for both parties, male and female.
Yes, and I just believe that the government does not have agency over the lives of private individuals.
Yes.
Let's start from there. So you cannot tell people that you're going to have drug tests on them, either parties, either genders, because one, it's counterproductive. I can just take him for a few days, do the test, and move on with my life. I feel like the Nigerian government do not tackle the grassroots issues. They just go for fire brigade approach. I know when BBC did a documentary, Northern Nigeria, for the abuse of codeine, and the government woke up and said, we're banning codeine.
That was shocking. And it's not just that codeine exists.
And codeine is still being sold. And that's it's just pricing now. And now you're saying that you've carried out a report and your statistics say that more women are abusing drugs. And now you're saying that, okay, before you marry, we're going to test you. What if I never get married? None of these things are factual. None of these things are effective. None of these things should be allowed. What are we doing to make sure that, one, these drugs are less accessible? Because if you cannot get them, you will not do it. What can we do to make sure that these drugs are less accessible? What are we doing to make sure that pharmacies are actually pharmacies? I have a chemist in my hostel when I was in university, and she learned chemist. I learned chemist. And then I started prescribing drugs for people. And so she called it medical store, not pharmacy. Medical store. I learned chemist. I heard some crazy things. She did learn nurse. How can you learn nurse? Nursing is a course that takes almost 7 years in the university. Or you can just put on white out for 6 months, you will learn nurse. There's so many things that are not working. The system is not working. So I think the first thing that the government should do is to find a way to fix the system. These fire brigade approaches are not going to work. One, two, they are not factual. Three, they are an abuse of your agency as a person, and they are misogynistic, and I will not stand for it. I feel like I'm campaigning for president. Vote for me, join 2021.
The fire brigade approach is not worth it, because at the end of the day, you do what you want to do, Nigerians think of another means out. So when you stop codeine, they went from mint and soft drink, and it still gives them the same feeling. So let's tell ourselves the truth and just focus on the real issue on ground, solve it from the grassroots, so that we get a balanced society at the end of the day.
Fantastic. What if you're tested and you're negative, and after marriage, you start using drugs? I don't say what about those that don't even do church wedding? Traditional marriage, they don't do it. Do they do it in court marriage? No, they don't do tests. So lots of people don't go for church. They don't do blessing of marriage. And like so it's not to work with it. How do they work? I want to understand. How are you going to get tested? So we should just tackle it generally, create awareness, let people know the dangers of taking these things. Yes, that's what we should just do. Create awareness. Thank you so much. And stop taxing us so damn much. Anyways, we've come to the end of the breakfast show. Thank you so much for joining us. I think the question to you now, what do you think Nigerians as a collective can do about the drug problem in the country? It's big, it's a problem, it's affecting everyone from young to old, married and unmarried. What can we do role as a collective to make sure that one, drugs are less accessible. Two, there are laws that are actually being implemented for drug abuse, and there are enough rehabilitation centers for people that are already addicted to drug abuse. We're going to be here again on Wednesday having an exciting conversations on e-learning in Nigeria. The pandemic has gone on for a long time. A lot of children have been out of school, but interestingly, a lot of children have been in school. How are the other children going to catch up? We're going to look at the success of e-learning in Nigeria during the pandemic. My name is Joyce Ships. This has been The Breakfast Show on TSM Nigeria TV. Thank you for joining us. Remember to follow us on all our socials, TSM Nigeria TV, and subscribe to our YouTube channel down below, TSM Nigeria TV. Have yourself a lovely day. Goodbye.
Stay connected to TSL Nigeria and get updates on the go all day, every day. Subscribe to our YouTube channel on TSL Nigeria Space TV and join our online family.